Hello, sisters. Welcome to the Sacred Medicine Podcast, weaving powerful, soulful practices into functional medicine. Step into this beautiful space of devotion and explore everything from nurturing foods, rituals, sexuality, and awakening your innate sensuality. It is time to own your radiance. This is the Sacred Medicine Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sacred Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Margaret Romero, and today is one of my very special authors whose book is always at my bedside, and that is Tama Kieves. And she is the author of an incredible book called Inspired and Unstoppable. And today we talk about being inspired and how she stays inspired. Also, her personal story. She was a lawyer. She hated every minute of it. We also talk about why women devalue ourselves, why we give discounts, or we offer like 5 million installment plans, for payment as an entrepreneur, and what we can do if there's a dream that's inside of us that we want to create, what are one of the things that we can start doing? There is just so much brilliance coming from Tama today in this interview. It's amazing. Her book is amazing, and I hope you enjoy it. Now on to the show. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Sacred Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Margaret Romero, and today I have one of my favorite authors, and I am giddy with excitement that she has joined me today. This is Tama Kieves. She wrote the book Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work. And this is a book that I think I've shared with many of you before, that there are only a couple of books that I read every morning that inspire me to get through my day. And whether that's just a paragraph or a page, Tama's book is definitely one of them. So thank you so much for joining me today, Tama.
What a great intro. Thank you.
I have really been so loving your book for many years. It's right near my bed. And if I'm feeling like I need a little boost, and, I even start my days, or I just need a little boost sometimes, I open up your book sort of randomly. And if you see my book, it's been underlined and there's like stars next to things. And so it's definitely been read over and over again. So I'm really excited that you're here.
I can't even tell you what that means to me. As an author, I thank you, God, have heard that feedback from other what I think of as visionaries and mavericks and people who are finding their passion in their dreams. And it just thrills the heck out of me. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted my words to be your comfort, my words to be your stalwart, my words to be the things that crawled into your brain and made you do what you're meant to do on this earth. And it makes me so happy that it's working.
Yes, totally. So for those of you listening, if you have not had a chance to read any of her books, this really spoke to me, and I actually have to read other books of yours as well. So that's going to be on my Kindle list.
Good. It's on my wish list too. Everybody read all my books.
So, this podcast is about empowering women on many different levels. And I couldn't think of a better person to come on and to really help inspire the women listening today. And I want to be able to have you, just because your words are there's so much depth and there's so much truth in what you write, that I knew I needed to have you here to just personally speak to all of us, because being inspired to live the life of our dreams, and it's something that I cultivate on a daily basis. It's not something that necessarily comes easy. And I think it's something that you have to always sort of like fan the flames of your inspiration, always throughout your whole life. And I would love to just kind of get a little glimpse as to something that's happened in your life where you have felt that your inspiration and that, your unstoppable energy has kind of like pushed you through and has created like some event that may have happened for you.
Well, first of all, I just want to comment because I loved what you were saying, Margaret, about that. I do think inspiration is a practice. I think people think think that, oh, I'm going to get inspired and I'm going to get excited and I'm going to follow my bliss and then all the doors are going to open. And there's so many self-help books that kind of guide us that way or make us believe that. And when I wrote Inspired and Unstoppable, I wanted people to know that when you're doing your dream, when you're finding your dream, when you're daring to live it in this world, you are going to be inspired and excited, and then you're going to be freaked out, and then you're going to be like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I based my life on a book, and so I wanted people to know that because I'm a coach and I work every single day with artists and entrepreneurs and visionaries and people who are doing their dreams in the world or finding their dreams. And it's very, very common that you're inspired, you're freaked out, you're inspired, you're freaked out. And so I love what you said about it being a practice, because it is a practice for all of us. And anybody listening, if you feel bad, like, oh my God, how come I have to read another book or take another workshop? It's because it takes a lot, I deeply believe, to go against the grain of convention in this world, and the convention that tells us to be fearful and, quote, practical and, quote, safe. So I just wanted to mention that. But you asked me something else. You asked me, what did you ask? You asked me about a time when I was unstoppable. Say it again. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. Let me word it a different way, actually. There was a story in here that you wrote in your book about, when you were about to publish this book and all of these things that were happening. And so tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, I think the greatest example in my own life, of really following my own inner voice and my dream and having it truly blossom and flourish in this world in a major way, was how I got my first book published, This Time I Dance, Creating the Work You Love. I'll just tell you some backstory on that. As you know, I had gone to Harvard Law School and graduated with honors and walked out of everything to try to find out what I loved. And I was writing this book, because it was my dream and it was my passion, but I didn't have an agent and I didn't have a publisher, and I didn't exactly have a fan club. I didn't have any of the, quote, real world things that told you, yes, you're on the right path. But like many of us who are following our dreams, there's that knowing inside that this feels right. I feel alive when I'm doing this. This has got to be right. But it's so terrifying because, it takes that faith and courage. So I'll try to make this as short as I can. I spent 12 years writing that first book. I spent 12 years following that inner voice. And at the end of the 12 years, I thought, well, how do I publish this thing? I don't know anything about publishing. And I looked up all kinds of things about commercial publishing, self-publishing, and I kept hearing this inner voice, and it literally just kept saying, just put it in the river. Just put it in the river. And I knew intuitively that meant just get it out there some way, somehow, self-publish it if you need to, get it in the stream of life. So I finally got the guts. I self-published the book. I put it into the world. And I always teach my clients that you can't plan an inspired life. You're not going to plan this life, right? You're not going to figure it out with your brain. You're not going to figure it out with a linear. So anyway, I finally put this book out, and 4 months after I self-published it, I got an email that literally said, "Your fairy godmother has arrived." And I thought it was spam. I thought it was going to be Russian girls are waiting for you. Just like something, right? But it was actually an email from a vice president of marketing and publicity for Random House. And she had been in a career transition and had been scared, and I guess had been reading all kinds of books. And she found my first book, This Time I Dance, Creating the Work You Love. And she wrote to me and said, "This is the best book I have ever read on finding your calling. And I want to help you get it to a major New York publisher."
Wow.
And she did. She got it to the publisher I'd always dreamed of, which was Tarcher, part of Penguin. And they bought the book, and they published it. They kept the exact title. They kept the exact words as an unknown author. That never, ever happens.
Right.
And so that was my biggest thing of, that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people that you can't plan an inspired life. You're not going to plan this. You're not going to figure it out that, gee, I'm going to have a meltdown for 12 years and wonder if I'm on the right path. And then some other woman's going to have a meltdown at the end of 12 years and we're going to find each other. And that's how this is going to happen. That's my plan. That's my business plan.
Exactly.
So.
You cannot plan these things, and the universe has its way of working its magic.
Yes. But what you can do, and that I guess my deepest message in all of this, and Inspired and Unstoppable and in anything, is you do have a plan within you. You do have a plan within you. You have an inner voice that speaks to you moment by moment, breath by breath, and it's taking you to your greatness. It's taking you beyond your limits. And for most of us, that's so scary because it's not like anything we know, and we're doing something unconventional, but it's the courage to listen every single day, or like you said, Margaret, to practice, to do the work you're doing, to listen every single day and to say, yes, I'm going to believe in this love more than my fear. Yes, I'm going to believe in this greatness. Yes, I'm going to believe in my message. I don't care if other people have failed. I'm going to find my way. I'm going to see what's true for me, and I'm going to listen to my own voice in my lifetime. That to me is the most important thing you'll ever do.
And so what happens when, let's say, someone wants to self-publish or try to publish a book, and let's say they want to just go to a regular publishing house and they keep getting rejected and rejected. And then they suddenly are like, oh, I really wanted this book to come to life. And obviously they could self-publish. But what happens in those times where you feel like you've done it all and it's just not happening?
I think that is the biggest hurdle on this path, because I've certainly gone through that. For what people miss in the story, when I was telling that fairy godmother story, the part they always miss is that I spent 12 years. They gloss over that, It's like, oh, and she got published, la la la, which is wonderful. But I spent 12 years believing in this dream and doing anything I could, anything I felt inspired to do. So I hear you. I think rejection is a huge part of this path. Quote, failure is a huge part of this path. But I think, again, it's having the courage to listen to that inner voice and find your way, and find your courage. I couldn't stop. There's so many times along my career path, even now, there are so many times where I feel like, oh, this is too hard, or why can't it be easier? Or why can't somebody just love me and market me and see my glory and have Oprah produce me? And, just like, you have all these fantasies, because we have all these fantasies that it's just going to be so easy. But I deeply believe that the process of going through the rejections, or the process of going beyond those hurdles and finding your strength in it, that is the journey. That is the juice. That is what we're here for. What I feel deeply, deeply proud of in my lifetime is that I've dared this, that I've tried this, that it wasn't, that people just immediately supported it and rushed at it, but I didn't give up on myself. And that's the guts for all of us, is like, don't give up on yourself. There's a juice in you. There's a genius in you. There's a voice that has never been here before. And sometimes it's a timing thing. Sometimes it's a finding a different variation. I tried getting commercially published the quote regular way.
Right.
And then it was like, well, then fine. I'm going to stand behind these words. I'm going to stand behind these messages. I'll put my money into it. I'll put my voice into it. I finally just realized, this is my lifetime and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this work in the world because I believe in it. And that, I think the universe is always testing us on that level, or encouraging us. How much do you believe? How much will you stand for this? And there will be love all along the way. I mean, all along the way, I had people who believed, people who did get my message, or students, or clients, or things that unfolded, or times where you felt like, yeah, I'm on the right path. This has to be right. It feels so good. So I think that's the journey.
I love that. So what happens, like when this all happened and she came across your book and, she was able to help you get this great, amazing publisher, and then your book went out in a much bigger way. Now, from there, was that just the start of everything? Like this book came out. Were there other things that sort of, between that book and this book, were there other? Yeah.
So I get where you're going. And it's funny because Inspired and Unstoppable was the book I wrote because I'd published This Time I Dance and I took it into the world. And I thought, because I've grown up in the American culture, and you see this image of success being, and now you're on the cover of People magazine, and now this happened, and now that happened. So I just imagined that now it would all take off. Now it would all happen. And I didn't realize that now I would be on the next part of my journey. Now would be the next layer of it. That we think that success is when you get all the money and the fame and the blah, 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 whatever. But I deeply believe there's inspired success, this is a journey of every single moment, finding out your truth, your passion, and walking this world with your inner voice and realizing how powerful you are, and that it's not the money and it's not the fame and it's not all those things that you think you want. It's the connection to this other presence inside you. So when I did this, I finally realized, okay, now you put a book out there. Now you have to promote it. Now you have to put it in the world. Now you have to get out there and speak. Now, so it was a whole other level of, oh my God, doors aren't opening, or, oh my God, now what? I don't know how to do this and I don't know how to do that. I wrote Inspired and Unstoppable as my response to that, because what happened for me is I was really good at leaving the conventional world and the corporate world and that world of a traditional job and following my dream and following my passion and writing a book. But then once I got out into the world of being a coach and a speaker and a teacher and retreat leader, I started falling back into the old patterns, because even in this world of doing your own business and finding your own dreams, there's all this stuff of, you need to do this, you need to do that, you should be doing this, you should be, you have to have a blog, you have to have a podcast, you have to have this, you have to have a whatever. And I drowned again in all kinds of fear, like I'm doing it wrong. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do business. I'm never going to make it. I'm not doing what other people do. And I had to learn the same exact lessons again, to just put all that aside and do it my own way and go my own rogue rebel brilliance way of following that inner voice again. And so I have a piece in Inspired and Unstoppable called Expert Schmexperts. Yeah, experts. Everybody's telling you what to do, right? But you have your own way to succeed. You have your own astonishing way to succeed. And most of us don't listen to that because we're so afraid, and we're listening to all the experts tell us, you have to have that and you have to have this. And And you're costing yourself your real success because you're not listening to what you already know and what you came here to give and how you came here to do it. So I had to learn those lessons all over again in a much deeper way. And that's what Inspired and Unstoppable is about.
Now, there's a story that you talk about with one of your workshops, and you had all of these cancellations. And can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah, because it's to that point of what you were saying about what do you do when the failures start happening? What do you do when the discouragement starts happening? What do you do when the rejections start happening? So, I have a saying that I teach all my clients, and it's trust your life more than your script. Trust your life more than your script. And what I mean by that is most of us, again, have these expectations and these pictures of how it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like. And we're missing this astonishing, original way that your life is happening. So the story you're talking about was a great story that way. It was early in my career. It was one of the very first times I was doing a workshop, and I was all excited because I finally got people to sign up. It was one of those miracle things like, oh my God, there's going to be real people with real money. Like, wow, this isn't in my journal. This is happening.
Right. Right.
And it was I think it was a writing and hiking class, and I was all excited about it and had all these people signed up. And so the day of the actual event, I start getting all these calls out of nowhere. I start getting these calls of people canceling. It happened the day before too, and at first I didn't think anything of it. A few people had to cancel, and I thought, okay, well, this is what happens, right? And I'm being all gracious and that's okay. That's okay. And then like the fourth person cancels and that 10th person cancels. And it's like, and people are saying, oh, I'm so sorry, Tama, my car's not starting, or I'm so sorry, Tama, my kid's sick. And, then I'm like tempted to go, put that kid on, like, let's see how sick they are. You wuss, come to my workshop. I mean, I was just like losing it because I was just filled with so much disappointment, like, oh my God, because I was going to prove to myself that, see, you really can do this. You're really, you're a workshop leader. You're making it. You're going to make money. And all of a sudden, everything was falling apart on me. Nothing was looking right. And so thank goodness I did a meditation before I went to this actual workshop, and I, was just crying, and I was doing this meditation, and I really just heard this inner voice that just reminded me to really be present, to stop thinking about my expectations of what it needed to be, and to really be present and to show up and open up my heart, to not let my disappointment and my frustration shut me down, because that's what was going on. I was letting that disappointment shut down my enthusiasm and my interest in teaching the workshop. I was all wrapped up in my own pain and what it should be, right? So anyway, I show up on this hike, and there's 5 people left that actually showed up. And it was amazing, though. It turned out to be 5 women. It turned out everybody was wearing a purple T-shirt. That was not a requirement of the hike. It was just like, okay. And it was one of those things where I started thinking, okay, something else is going on here, And so I got present, and I listened to my guidance, and I thought, okay, I'm really going to open my heart. I'm not going to let my disappointment shut me down and stop me from fully being here. And it was amazing because I really opened up and was present and showed up with everything I had. There was one woman who was going through a grief experience. She had recently lost her husband, and because she felt safe and there was such a small, intimate group, she really, felt that grief, and we surrounded her, and it was this holy, incredible, astonishing experience. It was like something out of time. It was ordained. It was like something, and it made me realize, oh my God, there was a purpose behind this. And it wasn't my script. And it
Right.
wasn't about my ego. And it wasn't about me proving to myself that, see, you're going to make money. And I would have missed that entire experience, and they would have missed that entire experience if I had stayed in my disappointment and my anger and my frustration instead of showing up with that love. And what it did for me, besides have an incredible experience, it actually made me feel safer than any check in the bank could have, because it made me realize, okay, there's an inspired power going on. There's guidance going on. That experience could not have happened any other way. Had one other person showed up, it wouldn't have happened. And it made me realize, okay, something brilliant and divine had happened, this alignment. And it made me feel like, okay, my life is that. If I get out of the way and I show up and I'm present and I'm loving and I'm not in my head about what needs to happen, and that made me feel safer, because it made me feel safer that divine alignment would happen for me too. And it has. So I'm a big one about, trust your life more than your scripts. It's that, that a lot of times when those disappointments are going on, it's an interpretation. It's an idea that you have about what you think should be happening, when you're already being led. Something great is already happening. But what happens for most of us, the pain most of us feel, is that we shut down. It's not that life gave up on us. It's that we give up on life. We think it should go another way, and we start giving up. And that's what hurts us.
We give up way too soon, I think.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, God, yes. And we miss this magic. We miss this. Most of us start this path because we want magic. We want out. We want something extraordinary. We want something brilliant. We want something that moves us and touches us. We want that, but then we're afraid to go into the realm of magic, right? We're afraid to lose control. We're afraid to really, again, we do give up too soon because we have our ideas of what it should look like.
There's something in here that and I quote, it says here, you can't, okay, I don't know why this stuck out for me. And when I was looking through your book again, I'm like, I have to just bring this up because it's so true. It says, really, I wanted everyone to love me, save me, and make me rich so I could finally feel as though I deserve to have both feet in this world. Here's the thing. You can't judge people and touch their souls at the same time. And I'm like, yeah, because, and right before that, it says, it's a grabby way to do business, and most people will get the message loud and clear that you need your own love more than, that you need your own love more than they need anything you have to offer. And then that's when you said, here's the thing. You can't judge people and touch their souls at the same time. So
yes, absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. Especially, I was writing that especially to those of us who are doing our own business, right? And those of us who are entrepreneurs, or we have messages, or we have dreams that we're trying to put in the world. And initially we start off all bright-eyed and excited. I just want to share with humanity. Yay. And then we start hating humanity because they're not buying our book, or they're not listening to our podcast, or they're not, getting our dreams. And again, it's a really fine line, because we start off with a message to share, and we start off with a dream and gifts to give this world. But then we get grabby about it, and we try to sell it, and we try to make people buy these gifts, and then we're trying to prove ourselves to ourselves through getting other people to approve us and give us money, and so we can finally tell our relatives, it's okay, Mom, okay. And so, I think this walk for me is a spiritual journey. It really is, and it demands that sacredness in everything. It demands that, and you can't lie on the universal realms. Like you can, you can't. So like I'm always being taught that, like, am I really here to give a gift, or am I here to grab grab something from somebody? Am I here to get something from them? Am I really here loving them, or am I here trying to get something from them? And that's a practice, especially as an entrepreneur, especially if you're in your work life, if you're trying to get ahead in your company. But love sells, baby. Love is the way to go. Love has this power. It has this brilliance. People feel when you're really there. People feel when you're really there for them. And it will go everywhere it needs to go. But most of us, I think we have to learn that.
So true. Yes. And there was also something that you wrote about and as an entrepreneur, and I remember this in my life when I first started, is that I would give discounts, and I would, like people couldn't afford me. So I would say, okay, or they would ask for a discount, or they would ask for like multiple installment payments.
Mm-hmm.
And I
As
would
they
do
drove
it.
away in their Cadillac, by the way.
Right. And I would do it. And I was like, yes, fine. That's fine. Yeah, sure. You want to do 6 payments or 3 or 4, which
30
I know.
payments, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Can you talk a little bit about why we do that and how we just need to stop doing that, devaluing ourselves?
I think, and especially this is, I think women, we're the worst at this because we're not taught it, right? But I think we devalue ourselves for many, many reasons. I'll just speak for myself. I love what I do. I really do. I need to coach people as much as I need them coming to me, and so like I have a chapter in Inspired and Unstoppable where I talk about how your work is medicine, It heals you to do it. Those of us who are doing our dreams on the days that we're actually working, those are our good days. Those are our phenomenal days. The days when we're not, it's very different than your usual job that, we don't, time off isn't always fun for people who have dreams. We want time in our dreams. We want time doing it. So that's a really interesting thing because I love doing this work. And then you involve the money piece, right? Then you involve the, but I want to do this and I want to work with this person, right? So there is that tendency to, initially, I think there is that tendency to give it away or to devalue it. I'll say 2 things about it. First of all, when people are first starting doing their dreams, I do believe in giving it away. I still give it away. I mean, there's a part of giving it away that is not disrespecting yourself, but actually respecting yourself. Like I do a lot of different events for free or speak for free, or I have, on my website, I have all kinds of free resources because I do want to get this work in the world, and I do believe in that. But that's not devaluing myself. I also charge a worthy price for my services and for my workshops, and I think initially it's just finding the comfort with it. I think a lot of people have self-esteem issues with it. Like I'll hear from a lot of different clients, well, who am I? And maybe I'm not that good. And I know for myself, when I first started coaching, I used to think, well, what if I don't have the answer? Like, oh my God, what if somebody comes with an issue and I don't know what to say? Or what if I'm crazier than they are? Because that's a distinct possibility. Like that's a very distinct possibility. And one of the things that has helped me immensely is I realized that my gifts are not of me. My gifts are not of me. The gifts that I am selling are not the wonder of Tama and how great Tama is. It's the light that comes through Tama. I am in service and in dedication to this power that I work with every single day and that I live my life on every single day. And when I'm charging people, I'm charging for my experience. The beauty of the failure and rejection and the journey is I know how to work with this. I know how to do this. I know how to do past my own limitations. I know how to go past my own fears. I'm on the same exact journey as everybody else, but I know how to work this now. That's what I'm charging for. I'm charging for that light that's in me and that gift that's in me. And I esteem that gift. I think it's brilliant. And by the way, those of us who maybe charge too low or give it away, and then you see people spend all kinds of money on junk, right?
Right.
For me, it's also having the dignity of, I teach a course in miracles, and I've taught it for 25 years, and it's a spiritual study program of living in love instead of fear. And many people have done that for free. Many people, offer those workshops for free. I do not. I never have. And I don't charge gobs of money, but I charge money for it, and I charge a decent price for it because I want people respecting it. I want people valuing it. I want people paying for it so that they will do it and live it and grow from it and get the juice from it, because I think it's the best thing in the world they could ever do. I think the work that I do has that value and will save somebody's life. So it deserves a decent price. So I think it's just learning it as we go, and I think one of the things that will get you there is you get frustrated. You give it away enough, or you do the payments enough, and then you see people not value it, and you realize,
Right.
okay, I'm not valuing it. I'm not
Exactly.
valuing this. So I'm going to stand for this. And what I do, it's easier for me, instead of valuing Tama, I value the light that is in Tama. I value this journey. I value the power that I serve. I value the power of these teachings. What I really value, I value the life that I am going to offer somebody else. I've seen the results that I get when I work with clients. When people come to my workshops or retreats, I see the results. I get the results. People send me the CDs they recorded, the books they published, the businesses they're doing, the love of their life that they met. So I value that. I value the life that I'm going to offer them. So it's a learning.
And what keeps you inspired? How do you are there any practices that you do?
Yes, so like we said earlier in the conversation about that this is a practice, that I think that I'll be working this for the rest of my life because I'm always going to my own edge. Like when I lead a retreat, I'll always start off telling people that, I'm scared too. I'm going to my own edge, and people will look at me and they'll be like a little disappointed. They'll be like, "Oh my God, really? Shoot, I was hoping you had it all together." And what I'll always say is, you want a teacher who's going to their edge. You want a teacher who's going to the next level of their power and their genius, right? I'm going to the next level of my greatness, which means I'm going to the next level of what I don't know yet. And I'm going past my own limitations. So I have to practice staying inspired all the time. And one of the main things I do is, as you know, in Inspired and Unstoppable, I have a technique called the Inspired Self Dialogues. And actually, if people want that, we give them away for free on my website, tamakieves.com. You can just download the Inspired toolkit and you get this technique for free. But basically, it's a journaling technique. I won't go into it right now, but it's a journaling technique, and it helps me connect to my inner voice. So it helps me, splatter my fears and my crazy mind and my anxieties. And then it helps me access that other voice within me, because the deepest power for me of my teaching is that your success depends on which voice inside yourself you're listening to. Your success depends on which voice inside yourself you're listening to. Are you listening to your fear, which sometimes masquerades as practicality or good judgment? Or are you listening to love? Are you listening to light? And again, that's a practice. So the other thing that I do, as I mentioned, is A Course in Miracles. It's been my path for 25 years. And the biggest thing that inspires me, to be honest with you, is doing my work. When I'm doing my work, it inspires the hell out of me, because that's what people forget. When you have these gifts, it's just that tip of the iceberg. It's just the things you dream about doing, or someday I want to write a book, or someday I want to travel, or someday I want to start a yoga business, or someday I want to, incorporate and blah, blah, blah. People have all these dreams, and what you don't realize is that's the tip of the iceberg. What you know about yourself right now, that's the lightest version of your strength. Your strength is so powerful. I keep discovering that. I've been in this for over 20 something years now, and I'm blown away by what I continue to discover. It gets better and better. So I love doing my work. When I'm doing my work, I'm in my zone. I'm where I belong. That's when the shit be happening, baby. It's like, that's like when the angels are talking, the light room's lighting up. I mean, it's just, there's nothing like, it's the best drug I know is doing my work.
So obviously when you're speaking to clients, when you're writing a book, that is when the inspiration is just there for you already. It's not something that you need to cultivate anymore, would you say?
Absolutely. And, especially because most people think they have to get ready, or they think they have to be inspired to do their work, right?
Right.
Like, but I'm not inspired to write, or I cannot tell you how many client sessions I have shown up to. Thank God they're on the phone. I now do Skype, but for most of the times they're on the phone, right? I can't even tell you how many client sessions I have shown up to at different points in my life where I'm like wiping the snot and tears from my face before I get on the phone with them, like, because I'm dealing with my own life. Oh my God, and then I'm like, okay, hi.
Right.
And I know that's not very inspiring, but here's the inspiring part of that is I always teach my clients, it's not you who empowers the gift, it's the gift that empowers you. It is not you who empowers the gift, it is the gift that empowers you. The second that I am in the service of my gift, the second that I decide to put my own junk aside and I am there for somebody else, or I show up, that's when that strength kicks in. That's when something happens. Because it's for me, and I think for a lot of us who do this kind of work, it's easier for me to remember your strength and your light and your brilliance. I can advocate you. I can get behind you. I can know who you are. And it's real and it's true. And in that knowing, I remember who I am. I remember what's inside me. So I think we need to do our work to activate our gifts. The only time I'm unhappy is when I'm not doing what I'm here to do. When I'm wondering, should I do it? Could I do it? Would I make money? What if I'm doing it the wrong way? What if I'm blah, 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 which I do all the time. I mean, I'm like there'll be books around that, I'm sure. It's like, my journals are like, filled with that crap. But all that wondering keeps you from doing it. And when you are doing it, that's when you know what you know, what you know. When I really do my work, I don't have any questions. I don't have any doubts. When I really am in it, I know that. And so that's what I'm always encouraging my clients to do. And same thing with writing. And, with writing, I'm not always inspired. And the gift doesn't always show up just because I sat down to write. That doesn't always happen. But it's been a very sacred meditation for me. I have learned that, yes, I'm going in. The voice of judgment's going to be there. It's going to howl at me. It's going to go, oh, what if this isn't a good book? Like, okay, you've written all these bestsellers, but now what if you suck? Like, what if you've used it all up? All that junk. I now know I have that voice and I know which voice to listen to. And I'm not afraid of it anymore. I'm also not afraid of being bad. I'm not afraid of writing in a way where it doesn't come out great. I'm not afraid of that anymore because I know how to get there. I trust my process now. I trust that my identity is not in what's happening in this very second. Just because I wrote a sentence that's not that fantastic doesn't mean, okay, well, you're not a writer. And so it's been years, but I have learned how to work with my own process. And that's what I want other people to do is to work. I want you to work with the voices in your mind and to know which one to listen to, because you have gifts to give us and you have power to give us and you have a message for us. And the world needs you. The world needs all of us showing up in our light, and we're all in our heads listening to that fear and those limitations.
Thank you for that. So for our listeners, if I know that there must be women out there who are at a job that they hate, and want to do something else, but really are not finding the strength or the ability to do it for whatever reason. You know, we always talk ourselves out of doing what we're really meant to do in this world. And so what advice can you give to those women that are kind of like, yeah, I'd love to be able to do this, but, or, that's not going to pay the bills, or that thing that I really love is just, not going to pay for my medical benefits or whatever it is.
Right. Absolutely. And those are good questions. And, it's what kept me in, so I began by completely denying my dreams, completely denying what I loved, and, going to Harvard Law School and becoming a lawyer, and being miserable every single day, even though everybody told me, but you have such a good job, and you're making money, and this is success. And I felt empty, and I felt meaningless, and I felt desperate every single day. And I just felt like there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. But exactly like what you said, I knew I wanted to write. I knew I had this dream of being a writer, but it was just like, yeah, right. Yeah, like that's going to pay the bills.
Right.
my mother's my Jewish mother in my head was, you're going to write, you're going to starve, you're going to write. That was the messaging I got as a kid. And so I think most of us get that message that, don't even think about what you love. Don't even think about what moves you. That's frivolous. That's crazy talk. You got to pay the bills. Come on, you got to be real world here. You got to whatever. So
Right.
I have a million things to say about that, but I will keep it shorter because that's everything I teach and speak about. Go to one of my retreats is the first thing I would say. But basically, I think if you can't leave a job right now, and by the way, I am never saying that somebody should leave a job, because everybody's got their own unique chemistry in their own unique way. Your spirit knows how to work with you. This is not about following my path or anybody else's path. It's about following your path and your spirit, your higher self, your genius, your love, your heart knows how to work with you. And that's all I ever want you following, right? So for many of my clients, they are in their jobs. They need to be in their jobs, and they're doing something on the side. They're testing it out on the side. So the first thing I would say is, even if you're in a job and you can't leave it, or you don't like it, and you're not even sure what you love, or you don't even know what it is, or maybe you think it is, I would say start playing, start experimenting, start doing something you love. Because what happens is, if you do something you love, it changes your brain chemistry. It's the same thing as when I was saying about getting on the phone with a client. I can be all up in my head thinking, oh, this is never going to work, and I don't know how. Then I do what I love, and it's like, oh, it's a whole different day, baby. It's a whole ball game now. Okay, I'm in. I'm going for it. And so you can hear all the words in the world, but until you actually do something you love, or you check it out, or you take that photography class, or you take that design class, or you go to the gym again, or whatever it is that you want to do that you love, it's going to feel so good. And because it feels so good, you're going to know things that you don't know when you feel bad. You're going to know things you don't know when you feel limited. And so that's the first thing I always want to do, is get people doing something they love, because then they get in their strength, and then they start thinking creatively. And it's not all or nothing. It's not, you just have to walk out of everything. There's a million ways to do this. And the best part is, you already have a way. There's a way that's yours. You are not given this dream for no reason. You are given this dream because there's a way already. And for all of us, it's about listening to that inner voice and finding our way, moment by moment and step by step. And your mind is going to screw you up, because it's going to go, well, how would that make money? And how is that going to pay the bills? And it's like, I don't know yet, but I'm going to take the next step, and the next step, and the next step.
Right. Yeah. Because I think then that takes away the fear of going full in all
Mm-hmm.
at once and leaving
Which
the
might not
job.
be the right thing.
Right.
Which might not even. I mean, people think, oh, well, if I had guts, I'd do that. Maybe not. Maybe that's wisdom. Maybe that's
Hmm.
intelligence. I'm not an all or nothing girl. I am very neurotic. It's like people always think I'm a brave person. It's like, oh, honey, read those books. Look at every one of those fears that comes up. It's like I'm a very, very, grounded girl. I am not a big, yeah, just leap, just do it. I am committed 100% to listening to that inner voice. And that inner voice will always lead you to safety. It will always lead you to safety.
Mm. Yeah. And it's a matter of really listening. And when you feel that nudge, rather than pushing it away,
Yes,
acknowledging it.
exactly. Exactly.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So it's coming. I can't believe the time has already. We need to wind down a little bit.
Shoot.
So I know. How can people find you and tell us what's happening? Yeah, I think you've got something coming up in locally, I think close to,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
tell us more.
If anybody's in the East Coast area, or if you know anybody in the East Coast area, I am leading a retreat weekend at Omega in Rhinebeck, New York, which is, I believe it's a 90-minute shuttle ride from New York City. It's August 11th through the 13th, and I'm leading one of my most amazing retreats, Unleash Your Calling, Create the Work and Life You Love. It's going to be a very intimate group. We're going to go step by step. We're going to move past fears. I'm going to help you get in touch with what gift is speaking to you now, what passion is speaking to you now, what are your steps, and I'm going to coach the people who are there. These retreats are stunning. They're amazing. If you can come, if you're even thinking about it, don't think about it, register. It's a very unique opportunity because it's a smaller group this time, so it'll be a lot more intimate. So that's August 11th through the 13th. But I do other retreats. I have another retreat. I won't go into it, but I have a 5-day retreat coming up also in the East Coast at Kripalu in October.
Mm.
So the best thing, and that's amazing because it's an immersion of 5 days. We do this together. It's incredible. It's during leaf changing season. So, but I lead retreats all over. I do workshops. I have online courses. I have coaching groups. I have all kinds of great stuff. And I have a lot of free resources. So the best thing you can do is get on my email list, which is on my website, tamakieves.com. And that's TAM as in Michael, A, Kieves, KIE, V as in victory, es.com, tamakieves.com. And you can sign up to get my emailed newsletter. And I write a new article every single month to keep you really inspired. Those articles get passed all over the world. I'm not just writing marketing stuff to you. It's really stuff to keep you inspired. And you'll get the tools and you'll find out where I am. Also, I'm on Facebook every single day. Join me on my Facebook page. I'm on Twitter. We've built a worldwide community of people who are doing this. We are building a worldwide community of people who are listening to inspiration instead of fear. And jump in, don't think about it. Jump in, do something. I encourage you, if I inspire you, then jump in with me. If somebody else inspires you, then jump in with them. But most of us are thinking about it and maybe and someday, and let's do that, because the sooner you get inspired, the sooner you're going to get unstoppable. And again, this is a lifelong practice. And my excitement is seeing more women, more people, everyone around the world doing what they are here to do. This world needs your gifts and you need to give them. So join me any way you can. Again, tamakieves.com is the best way, is get on the email newsletter list or write to me and we'll answer any of your questions.
And I just want to say, I've been to both Omega and Kripalu, and if you're looking for just a beautiful, quiet getaway and you need some downtime, these places they're both so beautiful, and it just gets you out of the city and it gets you back into nature, and the food is really healthy and it's really good. So I love both places.
I agree with you. And the reason a retreat is so phenomenal, if you can do it at all, is because in a retreat experience, we can do so much more than a workshop or a phone call or whatever, because you're with your people and we have extended time. Plus, you're getting out of your life. That people don't realize how important it is to leave behind your ordinary life and just get out and get into nature and get with inspiring people for a whole weekend that are going to lift you up. You leave a completely different, you just leave a completely different person. I always tell my clients it takes an intermission to find a mission. It takes an intermission to find
I
a
like
mission.
that.
It's really hard to find it right in the middle of your life. You're so busy, your cell phones, your life, your kids, your responsibilities, the cues of your house. And it's like, get out, go away. It takes an intermission to find a mission. Let's find that mission, baby.
Yeah, how amazing to be able to spend like a weekend with you, and even the 5 days of Kripalu, and say, look, these are the things that I want, but I'm not really sure what the next step is. I'm not really sure where to go. And then have you like guide them and kind of create like a map in a sense of like,
yes,
what feels
and
good
to create
for them.
that sacred space so that you can finally hear. That's really what I do is we enter inspired time so that all the things I'm saying here, you start knowing them for you. You start hearing your inner voice. And when you hear what your truth is and your conviction, it's a whole different ballgame. It's different than reading a book. But I think you should read my books, but seriously, it's just when you start hearing that inner voice for you, that's the knowing. That's when you can do things.
So good. So good. Okay, so I always ask people 3 last questions, and for all of my guests. So first one for you is, what's currently at your bedside right now?
What's currently at my bedside right now? In terms of reading, you mean?
Anything. Whatever's on there.
Whatever. I'm just trying to think. What the heck is on my bed? Bergamot. I like essential oils. I'm just trying to think. I'm a fan of the Sun magazine, which most people have never heard of. It's just something that it helps me relax. It's very real. It's very raw. It's just it's a great magazine. It's a literary magazine. So
okay.
Yeah, I read a lot of those.
Do you have something that you indulge in every once in a while, something that you just love spending money on?
Oh, God. How do I indulge in that I love spending money on? Clothes, probably.
Clothes? Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably a clothes freak if I'm honest. Yeah, I just I wouldn't say I'm a shopaholic or anything, but yeah, no, if I'm going to give in to something, that's where it's going to get me. It's going to clothes or jewelry and just very unique things. I'm a unique freak, so like I don't always find what I love, but yeah, that's probably my indulgence. That's my splurges if I splurge.
And are you currently reading any books, a book that you're really loving now, fiction or nonfiction?
That's a good question. So I'm right now, I am just coming off a very intense book deadline because I just sold another book and I've just been writing it and it's coming out in January. So I have not been reading anything except my own words. I bet. Over and over. And over. So I've been reading words like I am so sick of Tama Kieves, if I'm honest. She's so inspiring, but she is. Anyway, I've actually been really, really excited about this new book. But when you're on a book deadline and you're going through galleys and you have to like do line edits, it gets intense. So that's what I've been coming off of.
Yeah, we'll need to have you back on when that comes out. I'd love to hear more about it.
Yes,
for sure. Absolutely. Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you so much. It's my 4th one. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And by the way, all with that same publisher, that same First Miracle. Yeah. All with that same incredible publisher. They have published every single one of my books since, and they have done very, very minimal editing, which is again unheard of. It's been amazing. I really have felt guided through this, and I have readers all over the world. I get emails every single day thanking me for my books. It's amazing. It's an amazing experience.
I bet. I bet. I mean, your writing is, I mean, I've only read your one book. It's been very impactful in my life. So, and I know you hear this all the time, I'm sure, but
And I love hearing it. So go for it.
it's how so basically, Tama, you're sometimes in bed with me in the morning. I mean, because
Right on.
my book is right by my bed. So I open it up. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of the first things I do when I wake up.
That's
So
awesome. That's awesome. And it doesn't surprise me because I wrote this book for extraordinary people. I wrote this book for people who have dreams, and you're daring to have the guts to put your work out there. And I know how scary that is. And I know how amazing that is. And I know that's why those words are reaching you, is because it's touching that greatness in you and the extraordinariness in you, and it feeds that. And that's exactly what I wanted to do.
Oh, yes, and it does. So thank you for so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing. I can't wait for your next book to come out, and I'm actually going to buy the one that
A Year Without Fear. Yeah, 365 Days of Magnificence. If you think that's a daily reader, literally.
Yeah, I'm going to get that.
Yeah,
it's on my list.
And if you're on Amazon, go pre-order the next book, Thriving Through Uncertainty, the new one. Please pre-order it, because the more orders it gets right now, pre-orders, then the more Amazon stocks it. So we get it into the world. So
awesome. All right, Tama, thank you so much. It's really been so delightful to connect with you. You are just one of the very few authors that I just start my day with. So I'm honored that you said yes, and hope maybe our paths will cross. Maybe I will see you at one of these retreats, and have the most beautiful week. And
I will do that. And I just want to thank you as well. I really do. I want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing, for the courage it takes, for every time you are facing one of your fears, every time you are doubting yourself and you show up anyway, every time you put your gift into the world, every time you do one of these interviews, you have no idea who you're shifting. You have no idea who just heard this interview. You have no idea what your decisions are doing. And I honor you. I'm very, very grateful for you and for everyone like you who is doing their dream. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That means so much coming from you.
All righty.
All right. Thanks so much.
Down the road to be continued.
Yes.
Okay. Have a great one.
All right. You too. Well, I hope you loved this episode with Tama. Don't you just love her? I just was so giddy to connect with her. So to learn more about her and her awesome workshops that are coming up, head on over to margaretromero.com/episode 40. And I hope to see you maybe at one of her workshops. She's got Kripalu not until October, but she's also got Omega in Rhinebeck coming up August 11th through 13th. I love Omega. It's such a beautiful place. If you need a little getaway, if you're trying to figure out your life, the next steps, this is definitely the place you want to go and hang out with Tama for the weekend. How cool would that be? So all for now, much love, big kiss, and I will see you next week. Take good care.